All right, let's dive into something fascinating today. We're going to explore a personality type that might not always be the loudest in the room, but their minds are often the deepest. We're talking about the psychology of the quiet, observant mind.
So let me just ask you this. Do you ever get that feeling that you're just operating on a totally different frequency than most people? Like you're noticing things everyone else seems to miss, and you're craving a kind of depth that's just not there? Well, if that hits home for you, I've got a really powerful thought for you. You're not strange. You're not weird or an outsider. It turns out you might just have a rare personality type. And today, we're going to break down the psychology behind exactly what that means. Okay, so let's start with the core experience, right? What does it actually feel like to be wired this way? The most important thing to get right off the bat is that this isn't about feeling superior or better than anyone. Not at all. It's about a fundamental difference in how your brain is wired, both cognitively and emotionally. Your mind is just built to see beneath the surface, to hunt for more depth, a higher level of awareness, and a more authentic version of the truth. So what are the actual psychological mechanics going on here? Let's get into the specific traits that really define this way of seeing the world. First up is something psychologists call complex cognitive processing. Think of it like this. While most people see a simple, straightforward conversation, your mind is seeing this complex web of connections, patterns, and even contradictions all at the same time. It thinks in entire systems, not just simple sentences. And that, right there, is why small talk can feel so incredibly draining. It's like being asked to solve 2 plus 2 when your brain is built for calculus. Next is high emotional attunement. This means you feel everything more intensely, not just your own emotions, but you can literally feel what other people are feeling, sometimes before they even say a word. But here's the twist. You tend to process all of this deep, rich emotional information internally. To the outside world, you might seem calm or even mysterious, but inside, your emotional world is unbelievably vivid. And this comparison just nails the difference in what drives you. On one side, you've got the chase for external stuff, likes, status, the next rung on the ladder. But for this personality type, the drive is completely internal. It's a search for meaning, for truth. Psychologists have a great term for this: self-transcendence. It's this deep need to understand life beyond just the material goals. You're looking for purpose, not applause. And here are a few other key signs that might sound familiar. You're always questioning shallow explanations. You can read people with startling accuracy, almost instantly. You often feel a bit out of place because you're just hardwired for authenticity and can't fake it. Your mind is this constant buzz of self-aware inner dialogue. And here's a fascinating one. When all hell breaks loose, you're somehow the one who stays calm and logical.
So, how do these internal traits play out in our ridiculously hyper-connected digital world? Well, a lot of the time, it means consciously choosing to unplug.
I absolutely love this quote. It just reframes the entire idea of logging off, doesn't it? It's not about running away from the world. It's about waking up from the constant noise. It's choosing clarity over chaos.
And the path to get there is actually a psychological process. First, you start to recognize the digital conditioning. You see how platforms are designed, with those little dopamine hits, to keep you hooked. Then, you realize your mental energy, your cognitive bandwidth, is a really precious resource, and you decide to use it for something better. And finally, you choose detachment, realizing that true peace doesn't need to be broadcast to an audience.
And what happens when you make that choice? Something incredibly powerful. You shift from being a passive consumer, just endlessly scrolling and absorbing information, to becoming an active creator, shaping your own thoughts, your own projects, and your own life, far away from all that digital noise.
This leads us to another really interesting behavior: the choice to be quiet online, to not post every thought or share every personal photo. You know the common assumption, right? If someone's quiet online, they must be insecure or they must be hiding something. But is that what's really going on? The answer is a hard no. It's not that at all. The reality is they're self-contained. Their sense of self-worth isn't up for debate or negotiation. They've outgrown the need for a screen full of likes and comments to tell them that they matter. They already know. The psychological engine driving this is intrinsic motivation. This is when your satisfaction comes from the act itself, from your progress, from learning, from the experience, not from putting on a performance for an audience. It's a really powerful form of emotional independence. And all of this brings us to our final and maybe the most important point of all. We really need to redefine what true confidence actually looks and feels like.
This table just lays it out so perfectly. A fragile ego gets its sense of worth from the outside, from likes, from praise. It's constantly performing for an audience because it needs to prove its value over and over again. But secure self-esteem, that comes from the inside. It comes from your own progress, your own values. You live for yourself because you already believe in your worth. The silence isn't a sign of insecurity. It's a sign of ultimate security.
Psychologists call the foundation for this a strong internal locus of control. It's this deep-down belief that you are the architect of your own happiness and your own outcomes. And when you truly believe that, the opinions of others just become data, not a verdict on your life. The internet stops being a scoreboard and just becomes a tool you can pick up or put down.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. True, real, unshakable confidence doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to compete for attention or win any popularity contests. It's calm, it's centered, it just exists.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. In a world that can't stop rewarding noise, what if the most powerful thing about you isn't how loud you can be, but how deeply you can think? What if your quietest, most observant trait is actually your greatest strength?